everybody.
Hello.
Yes. Welcome to the Heart of Real Estate podcast. So glad that you are joining us today.
Mm-hmm.
Let's introduce everybody. If this is the first time for some of y'all.
So who are we? Who are we, Stephen?
Yeah, we're the Mortgage Mike Group.
Yeah.
Financing from the heart.
Heart of Real Estate podcast. We just changed the name.
Oh, yes, we did.
We just changed the name.
Changed the name.
Yeah.
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
Last one was the name change. But
Yeah.
now we're
gonna officially be the Heart of Real Estate.
the Heart of Real Estate. So
Podcast.
why the Heart of Real Estate? You know, we're just getting to the why of why people do it.
Yeah.
They do. I mean, our partners, you know, they love what they do. They have a similar heart to serve and to make a difference and make an impact in a positive way in our community. I'm Steven Salinas.
Yes, and I'm Mike McFarland, the Mortgage Mike in the Mortgage Mike Group.
Yes, and we have a special guest today.
Very special.
Hello.
We have Elyssin Corona.
Yes. With Realtor International Realty.
Yeah.
And with the Corona team. So there's like 4 of us, 5 of us now.
Right.
And yeah, I've been in real estate for 5 years, about to hit my 6th year. So excited.
Huge milestone.
Yeah, what were you doing prior to real estate? What was that career before you jumped in?
So I was an oil and gas recruiter.
Okay.
And so I wanted to do corporate America.
Yeah.
You go to college, that's what they tell you to do.
Yeah.
Go to corporate America. And my mom was a broker,
Okay.
a real estate broker. So she had her own company and everything. And I was like, I don't want to do it. She works a lot. So I was like, no, I don't really want to do real estate. And she always like 18, get your real estate license, go through it. And I was like, no, I'm going to do corporate America. So I did it. And then I realized I was still working really hard and wasn't really growing. And so that was something, and I didn't feel like I was actually giving back to anyone and helping anybody, even though I was recruiting and helping people find jobs. It's very different. And so I actually went and got my license without telling my mom first.
Probably smart.
You're like,
I didn't want the pressure of it. And I was like, in case I don't do well, but got my license and then let her know. And since then, I've just been doing it full time.
I love it.
Okay.
So you went from HR corporate, pull the plug, just like I'm out.
I'm out
100% into real estate.
fully 100%. I
Great.
did not do like a part-time thing. I said, if I'm going to go in, I'm going to go all in.
Right.
Right.
Awesome.
Part of this, I mean, you've grown up in real estate.
Yeah,
I mean, so it was really it's a second language for you.
definitely.
Right? Yeah. Or even maybe
And-
your primary language when you look at your career, right?
Well, and it also was a situation where I was seeing like coworkers going and buying houses and they were having not the best experience. And so I was like, there's something missing, right?
Yeah.
There's a gap that, either there's realtors not doing it or they're just not being informed the right way. And I was like, I know all of this information. And I was helping them out with information before I even like had a license, just because of, growing up in the industry. And they're like, oh, I didn't know. I'm like, ask this question. So you know what to ask. And I literally loved it ever since I like fully jumped in. It's been great.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I know that my wife's a recruiter, so we're like constantly telling each other stories, and I'm like, it's very similar, right?
Yes.
You have to negotiate contracts. Like you have to kind of be the middleman sometimes, and
You have to prepare them for the interview.
Prepare them.
Setting expectations.
Set the expectations for it of what to expect, especially when it comes to like salary, hours, or anything like that. They just get very, and it's harder because you know that you want to give them the job. They obviously apply for a specific reason. You're helping their families, but then when you aren't able to help them, that's like the crushing part of it all. So sometimes I was like, well, what can I do to like prepare you in the best way?
Yeah.
And it's kind of transitioned into real estate that way, where I love to sit down with first-time home buyers and explain the entire process. I know sometimes I get overwhelmed, but that way they're aware of what's coming. And then once we're in the specific step, I'm like, okay, let's go back to our book. and this is what's going to happen. And they're like, oh, I remember you were telling me about this
Right
and gave
on.
me this example, or
Yeah.
you told me how much to expect for like an inspection.
Yeah.
So that's been where I think recruiting helps me out a lot with processing.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
switched it into real estate.
Well, and you become the guide.
Yes.
You're the
Yeah.
guide. I'm your guide to this process. Right. And that all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay. Great. I don't have to know everything because I've got a guide.
Exactly.
Is there an actual book?
Yeah. It says like the roadmap to home ownership.
I
And
love
so it has from when an offer's or when you submit an offer, can it be accepted? Can it be counter offered? Can it be
Yeah.
declined? And it goes through every step.
Yeah.
It's like 20, it usually takes me about 45 minutes to kind of fully go over it,
Okay.
but I kind of get the buyer's background, right? I want to see like what is their goal, because if they're wanting like down payment assistance, okay, then I can guide them in this is still how much you need to have saved up before you do it.
Right
on. So it's really, really helpful to sit down with them. And I think it's really changed the way that the clients aren't just like clients, they like become more like family.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm able to have more of like a relationship with them because I know what their end goal is.
Absolutely.
I feel like we're getting to the heart of real estate.
Yeah. Well, I like, so the family aspect, like even whenever you're kind of reviewing things with people and explaining things, sometimes it does start to go into their family
Yes.
also, right? I know that when we were talking, like, oftentimes you'll talk to, your client, but also maybe family as well.
Yes.
Is that
So
What is your ideal client? When you look at like your defined ideal client, what is that?
So like my ideal client that I truly love working with is first time home buyers. I know some people get really, turned on like, oh, it's a first time home buyer. I absolutely love them.
Yeah.
And they're also bilingual.
Mhm.
So I speak Spanish as well. And I don't just go over it with them, but I'll go over it with their parents. So most of them are first generation home buyers. And so their parents want to be fully involved. And sometimes they also turn to their parents as guidance in, okay, what kind of offer do I want to submit? And so whenever they're asking me specific questions, I know like this is not like a normal first time home buyer. This is like a parent asking me.
Yeah.
So
You're like,
I tell them, bring your parents, come along. I'll explain to them the process in Spanish, and it just helps gain their trust. And parents will also notice that I will sometimes walk into the house and they're like, I like it. I'm like, you're convincing yourself that you like this house, but you don't love this house.
Yeah.
And I said, just think about it because this is a really big life decision. And when the parents see that I'm not just trying to force them into a home, they start to trust me as well. And then that's a big thing, especially if the first generation are trying to give back to their parents as well for them, helping them through college and allowing them to get their first job or first car. This is their way of giving back, and their parents can live with them as well.
Right. Well, I love that cultural component of the family is a unit that doesn't end when you go to college or you get a career.
Exactly.
That we're all in. We're all in, and I'm buying this house. My parents have supported me. I want to take care of them, so and they have a place here with us. And that's such a beautiful thing, right? I think American culture can break the family apart, right? Americanizing any culture can break the family apart.
Yeah.
And to just see now, let's keep the family together. Our parents, grandparents, the children, like everybody coming together. It's such a beautiful, just a beautiful reason, a beautiful why, a beautiful heart.
Yes.
Right. In real estate.
And it's more rewarding, at least for me, is when I see the parents being so excited on closing day for their child. Like, look, everything that we worked so hard for, it's like giving back, and like we're allowing our child to purchase their own home and create themselves their wealth that we didn't get the opportunity when we were younger.
Right. Well, I'm monopolizing the conversation every Steve. I'm sorry.
Hmm.
I'm monopolizing the conversation every. I'm so excited. The idea, like I think we talked about generational wealth, and I'm thinking as a parent, as you're talking, because I mean, you've got kids, I've got kids, Steven's about to have kids. Mine are a little bit older, so I'm beginning to see life through their eyes as a parent. And I can like to be a parent, like a first generation, or a parent, I guess, of a first generation child, right? Somebody that you sacrificed to get here, and you probably worked crazy hard hours and did anything just to support your family, to give the generation ahead of you the opportunity to have something better.
Yes.
And to be able to see that and like, wow, what man, like my heart swells just as a parent, to see how you're involved with that process generationally and creating generational wealth, right? I mean, the sacrifice and what one generation laid down is multiplied by 7, right? Like some massive factor in the next generation.
Yeah.
And that's really cool.
Yeah. And it goes far back. I mean, we're recently helping a family that, their grandparent is giving towards like the transaction.
That's so nice.
To their grandchild. Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, you get to think, and I know, because these are personal friends, I know that this is going to directly affect their kids.
Oh.
I just like, and the kids, they don't even realize it sometimes, right? Sometimes it's, if you don't feel the pressure, it means like, somebody has paid it forward, and taken care of things to put you in a position to like, to buy and to, set them up. And sometimes we're the ones that are helping them.
Right.
And sometimes if they're not buying right now, we're the only ones that ever talk to them about getting their, finances in order.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You may be the turning point to help them kind of get the finances in order. And then it's going to impact like so many people. And it's really cool because you get to do it every day. And that's huge.
That's impact.
Yeah.
Definitely. And most of the people that I do that home buyer presentation with, I will meet with someone and it won't be until like 2 years.
Right.
And then they'll like, I remember the conversation. I was like, well, the market's changed a little bit, but you still need the same documents. You still need all, and so like the process is still the same.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So we have like a little refresher because they may have changed jobs, or they, say, you know what, I don't want to be in this area after all. I kind of want to go to this side of town or something. And I'll explain what that market is looking like. But I love that just because they didn't buy like right now or anything like that, like I'm still a resource to them 2-3 years later. And they, even after they buy, I love to stay in contact. I love to see, like I send out like home anniversary cards.
Yeah.
And then I'll send like a picture that we took on closing day. And we're like, hey, do you remember this? Like, congrats on 1 year of home ownership. And
that's such a great idea.
They're like, oh my gosh, it's already been a year. Like time flies. Like we feel like we just bought this house. And we're like, no, it's been like, we remember when we were like searching, or if we saw something funny in a house, we'll mention that as well. And I just love to stay in contact that way. But yeah, I just love being able to create that relationship with them.
And reach back into the emotion, right? Because it's what I hear are some great things. One, you're a guide to the process, right? You guide them today, tomorrow, right, into the future. We like to say that it's never a no, it's always a how, right? You can buy a home. It's not no, it's how do we get there, and then when, right? So you're able to vision cast, to future cast into them. And I love how you're reaching back, because this is really an emotional buy. And then remember how they feel when we're working with us and our clients. And it's super important to create feeling. And you're able to harken back to that feeling. Yeah. Like remember when, that's so great. Or sending the picture on closing date on an anniversary card is like such a great emotional activator. That's like, oh yeah.
I can't believe it's like,
and
so long.
she did such a great job taking care of us. And oh my gosh, I love her. And you're ingraining yourself, right, into their financial picture, right, in regards to real estate. It's really awesome, right?
Thank you.
92% of homeowners would say that they'd use their real estate agent again, and only 12% do, I think, or 10% is the number. Now 8, because that would be really bad math. But so
yeah, I think it's like 8%
yeah,
of home buyers would use a realtor again
Yeah.
or refer them
right,
out to a
right.
family
That's
member.
it. They said they would, but and only 8% actually do it. And it's because
Yeah.
probably because one, we're not staying in touch, right? Unfortunately, or they're not. Yeah, they're just not creating an experience that garners like an emotional response that people can, because that's what they remember, right?
Mm.
That's what they remember.
I mean, I also think of it as when I bought my house, even though I already knew the whole entire process, I was still so nervous.
Yeah.
Even though I knew exactly what was going to happen.
Yeah.
But I was nervous. I'm like, okay, if I was nervous and I knew the
Mhm.
little nitty gritty details,
Yeah.
Yeah.
imagine someone who doesn't know the full story of like
Mhm.
all of it. So
Yeah.
I try to make it to be like, okay, you don't stress out.
Right.
That's for me to stress out. I'll tell you when something is really wrong,
Right.
but most of the process is going to be smooth. Like, let me be on the emotional roller coaster.
Yeah.
And then you just kind of just trust me and
Yeah.
enjoy the process. So
Yeah. Just start packing your boxes.
yes.
We got it from here. Right. It's like,
Yeah.
don't worry. I would tell you, every time I buy a home, I freak out that my loan's going to get declined. Right. Like
Yeah,
I'm in
right.
this anxious.
Yeah.
I'm like, really? I do this for a living and I know exactly what my file looks like. And I still have in the back of my brain, what if my loan gets declined? Like that's the most, that isn't even a real thought. It won't happen, but it's coming into my brain
Yes.
and creating
It
anxiety.
just like comes, your anxiety is like, hello,
Yeah.
I'm here. Let me just
Yeah.
make you freak out a little bit, even though you know everything that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. You know,
Yeah.
so that I remember that when I remember that as we're working with our clients. It's like, okay, even you freak out, Mike. So
Yeah. You have to almost try to answer their questions before they even ask. And at the end, they're like, do you have any questions? They're like, well, honestly,
I
no,
covered all that.
but I'll let you know.
Yeah.
And but really, the most important question we can ask is like, how are you feeling about this? And yeah, even asking like, hey, how's that payment feel? How's the cash to close feel? Maybe we need to restructure some things.
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe we just need to clarify on some things to, you know, encourage them, but also, you know, help them plan for the future. But yeah, I think taking that extra time to sit with them, talk with them, and
understand how they feel.
yeah, understand them. Yeah.
I think that's so important that you like sit down and talk to them. Like, how does that monthly payment make you feel?
Yeah.
It's so big.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I've come across different situations where it's off, or like submit an offer gets accepted, and then we get all the information, or this is what your monthly payment's going to look like. And you can just see like the panic. And I'm like, oh no, this is not what we were expecting.
Right.
So I said, okay, let's rework the numbers and see what we feel most comfortable with. Because I don't want you to be house poor.
Right.
You know, I want you to feel comfortable, especially if it's like a first time home buyer.
Yeah.
A lot of the times I will say, think of it like you're really going to only be here. That 5 to 7 years is like the turnaround for a first time home. Like if this doesn't check everything off, let's not be at the top of the budget.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, unless it checks every single thing that you wanted and you don't see yourself moving in at least 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
Then okay. But you know, we just try to kind of work through that before.
Mm.
So I think that's really nice that you guys like sit down and explain everything to them.
Yeah, it's important, and it's one of our values is, you know, integrity, right?
Yeah, transparency.
You know, and our whole team has to be on board with that, and our company has to be on board with that because, you know, we have ownership, and everybody's got to have ownership to do that. We got to visit your team the other day.
Yes, we did.
Yeah. So y'all do that once a week, once a month.
Tell us about your team structure.
Yeah, tell us about the team structure. I really loved visiting.
Okay, so it's my mom, me, so my mom's Edna, And then we have Joanna, who's also a licensed realtor. She's one of the newer agents.
Yeah.
And so she goes all in for everything. So she kind of is learning, she's trying to absorb all of the information.
Yeah.
We have Myra, who's a realtor as well. She also handles all of our transactions. So she is in touch with clients as well, so that we're all like on the timeline. You know how everything has to be seen by this day, you have to do inspections. She keeps us all in check, basically.
Nice.
And then we also have Kara, who she just helps us prepare things that we're going to give out to clients and make sure, checks up on them as well to make sure that everything's going okay. Is there anything that we can do now that they've already moved in?
Mm-hmm.
What else can we do to help it, the process, whether
it's concierge or something.
Yeah, like
or client experience.
Sending out like the homestead form, after it, things like that, just to kind of keep following up and making sure that the process is, continues to go smoothly.
Right.
And we meet monthly in person because we're all in different areas of Houston.
Gotcha.
And it's usually like half a day and it's a team meeting. We'll go over, we always start with prayer. And then we have our agenda. We'll go over like last month and then this month's goals. And if there's any events that are coming up, we'll discuss that as well. And then every week we do a Zoom call in the morning for like 45 minutes and we'll kind of just go over like where we are with everyone. If you have any new listings, or if we have come across something that we've never done before, we all talk about it. Because we're all taking classes throughout the year.
Yeah.
So sometimes, things change, like legal, and you're like, hey, did you know that we now have to do this? And they're like, no. So we're just keeping each other like, okay, this is something new to stay, informed of.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I love that because like you're kind of keeping each other accountable to, and you do have those like core values, meeting together. I love the prayer before you work, just reminding yourself like we're doing this for a bigger purpose.
Exactly.
And
it's not for ourselves.
It's not our business.
It really matters. Because you start to just see things through a different lens. And having everybody on the team, believe that.
We all believe it. We all work together so that we have like competition between each other, but it's not like we're not going to give you this information. No, we really want all of us to succeed. And we want everyone to feel as though if they've come across a problem, they're not going to try to figure it out themselves. If we already know how to help them fix it, especially when you're a new agent, you don't know, like all the classes you take at, the real estate school don't prepare you for actual real estate life. Or this happened.
College degree.
Exactly. It doesn't really prepare you for that. So I always think of that as well. And I always want to make sure that if there's something new that I learned that I know that's going to be helpful for someone else, I'm going to provide that information. And with my mom, she's about to hit 25 years in Houston real estate.
Awesome.
Yeah. So if I don't know something, maybe she knows something. If none of us know anything, we're really involved with like HAR.
Yeah.
And so we've made connections with other realtors and they become such a big resource for us. My mom is she also does international.
Okay.
So that's where the Delport International kind of all ties them together. And so right now she's doing a lot in Mexico.
Wow.
And so she is always another like resource. Like I have someone that says, I want to do like an Airbnb in Cancun and stuff. She's a resource for that. So
Whoa.
That is so cool.
Really nice.
That's really cool. And when people, I love it. Like when people sign up, to work with you, they have the group.
Exactly.
Right? They're signing up to work with the group and the group has, a process established, resources, there's people available to help. So no one ever falls through the cracks.
Yeah.
There's so much more reliability in that. The group, there's something powerful about a group that's united around a common goal. And it does communicate care and it communicates like family and
definitely. And we also
see that.
we also describe the team as, it's not where I'm only involved in one part and then I switch you off to the next one and then switch. That's not the way that we as a team work.
Yeah.
I'm still the main point of contact for all of my clients, right?
Yeah.
And they're just supporting.
Yeah.
So if I am not available like immediately and it's something you have to do in the next 30 minutes, there's always, Myra or Joanna. And I kind of specify, this is the kind of question you have. This is who you should reach out to.
Exactly.
And that's really helped as well, because sometimes you will hear team and like, oh no, like you're just going to keep being switched around. And I don't know who my main person is. I'm always the main person, or my mom's the main person if that's, her client and stuff.
Yeah.
So, but since we talk all the time,
Yeah.
we always know where the process is, so that there's no surprises.
Right. Exactly. Well, and sometimes you're like to your point, you're kind of you are the representative. However, you got people that help make things happen.
Yeah.
And sometimes the best answer to a question doesn't lie with you, it lies with somebody else on the team.
Yes.
Right.
But it helps when everybody on the team has a similar
Same.
Oh,
heart.
definitely.
Yeah. You have to.
We have to. We know that if we don't, when we first started like growing the team,
Mhm.
my mom and I had the conversation, like we have to have someone with the similar, integrity. That's a big, very, very big one. Heart for it.
Mhm.
And we also wanted someone who could like cultivate their relationships as well, because that is so important to us. And we want to make sure, like I said, they become like part of our family.
Right.
Now. And so we want to make sure that everyone's just happy at the end.
Mhm.
Yeah. That's so cool. Our teams are a lot alike. That's why I love it. I'm just like, oh, this is really encouraging.
Awesome.
Like, we are doing it right.
Right.
Really good.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, if you could, share anything, because we're going to share this video with your sphere, like your clients, our clients. If there's anything like an encouragement for, starting the process now for a first-time home buyer, what would you tell them?
I would tell them just like obviously contact me, but I want to make it not scary. So I want to like go through the process through the book and just explain to you everything, so that whenever you are truly fully ready, you're not afraid. And if you do start to feel afraid, ask me. I'm always going to tell you if something is off, or if there's anything that you should be worried about, because I don't want you getting under contract and like losing your money, right? That's the thing that I try to avoid the most. And I think in the last 2.5 years, I haven't had any of those.
Nice.
So that I want to make sure that you're prepared and that, I'm a resource to you and to your family.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid.
Don't be afraid.
That's what I took from that. And it's just so cool. I mean,
talk to somebody that cares.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of real estate agents out there to work with, and not a lot of real estate agents bring the same heart, right? Or a lot of them don't bring the heart, unfortunately. Or even the same thing in the lending industry, right?
Yes.
It's about a profit, not about the people.
Exactly.
And you bring the people, right?
Mhm.
We keep our eyes on the people, profits will follow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amen.
Sure.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much
Thank
for
you so
coming.
much.
Yeah.
I know, it was
I
awesome.
enjoyed this.
Yeah, it was really fun. Guys, if you are interested in getting connected with Elyssin, let us know.
Yeah,
We'd
for
love to
sure.
connect you. We'll be sharing information
Somewhere down
below.
here.
We'll be tagged. Check it out. Share it.
Whatever that is.
Y'all have a great rest of your day.
Yeah.
See you later.
See ya.
Bye.